My name is David Herroux. I'm actually the CEO here at United Christian Broadcasters. This is a multimedia organization. It's actually this year celebrating its 35th anniversary. Okay, the story about our son Jamie, who was born in 1987. We were blessed with our third child. We already have, the eldest is a boy called Richard, and his sister who came a few years after, who is Natalie, and we were blessed with a third child called Jamie. Okay, Jamie was a little boy which was very loving, very responsive, quite dynamic and inquisitive in many ways. The reason I'm hesitating, I'll tell you why, is because I was in the business world, and I had not spent as much time that a father should do because I was so busy with the business world. You know, like everybody, we have routine in our life, and one of my routine in the morning in getting up very early to go to the business world. Before I would actually leave for work, I would actually go in his bedroom and see, you know, how lovely he was being asleep. Being quite a dynamic young boy, then it's lovely to see them sleep, you know. But on that day, I did not do it. Don't ask me why, I just did not do it. And I went into my workplace like I did every morning, and life is getting very busy because I'm in a retailing world. And when you head a store, which I was at the time, then you want to make sure that everything is spot on. And during the morning, quite early, I received a call, and it was my neighbor. And my neighbor actually said, "David, I think you actually need to come back home very quick. Something has happened to your son, Jamie." At that point of time, I don't know why, because he was a healthy boy, there were no sign of ill health. When I heard that voice, something within me actually said, "Oh no, surely he's not dead." I jumped in the car and I drove probably like I've never drove before, screaming in the car, saying to God, no, surely that is not it. And when I actually arrived before our house, I could see the flashing light of the ambulance there. I dashed out of the car, and he was there with the paramedic who were trying to do everything to, what I found out, to bring him back to life. I could hear the scream next room, which was my wife, in total brokenness and disarray. And my first reaction was what I've read through the scripture. In fact, I took my son into my arm and actually started to pray, believing that God could actually do something. And after a while, the paramedic says we need to take him to the hospital. And therefore, we actually followed the ambulance right back to the hospital. And then as we were making our way toward the ambulance, the doctor came, and that's where, when he came out of the ambulance, actually told us the news that there is nothing they could do. He had died. Just imagine, my heart was full of anger. I could not get my word together. My wife was totally devastated. It was only the two of us. And during that time, I still saw vivid scripture coming back to my mind, believing that God could still do something. And in the course of that morning, I asked if we could actually go and see him. They led me into the chapel of rest, and there my little boy, lifeless, was lying in front of me. And I was screaming to God internally, believing that God could actually do something. And during the course of my prayer over my child, I felt like somebody was touching my shoulder. And I actually turned around and there were nobody. And then that actually happened 3 times. In a third time, I looked around and I felt that somebody was talking to me and saying, David is not going to go back to you, but one day you'll go to him. And from that day onward, there were a lot of people praying for us. I felt that God was lifting us up, or definitely me. That's my experience. That He gave me an inner strength. But now my task was to actually support my family. One of the things that I did not tell you at the beginning is that the one who discovered him dead in his cot was our eldest son. And it's only over the years that I've discovered how he was overwhelmed by the loss of his brother. But I must say that I felt strengthened, that I felt that God was with me, and I knew the manifested presence of God. And that gave me the strength to support my wife and my children and the rest of the family. Therefore, this situation has helped me in one way to actually mature in my Christian life in a way that probably I wouldn't have done it. I've recognized that there is a communion that needs to be developed with the one who cares so much for us. And I have learned to make space in my diary. You know, when you are in the business world, your diary gets filled up of so many appointments. But I came to realize that after the loss of Jamie, that I needed to actually diarize something much more important. That was the most important meeting of my day. It was to make sure that I would actually carve out of my day some time to speak with God, to listen to Him, to actually, pray for not just my situation, my family situation, but for many other situations. That space in my diary is actually called the green zone. Therefore, when I look at my diary, I know that this time in green is non-negotiable. There is a God who will stick to you in those situations closer than anyone else, because He cares for us. And let's also know that through this experience, through our learning, it will not be wasted in any way. It will be used that God will be glorified. As we help others, they will actually meet Him at their point of need and experience the lifting of them in their situation, out of their situation, and knowing His manifested presence.